This is Blackfathom Deeps as a protection paladin. So moving right along with this character.
Hey man, help us! The Twilight's hammer be fixing to sacrifice our green hides.
This is always a dungeon that I enjoy a lot, and I really wanted to see it from the perspective of the tank. Because I hadn't done this version as a tank before. I'd done this before when, back when it was the old version as a tank, but that was a long time ago. My notes say this shaman healer seemed like an expert. He's really good at what they do. What else do we have? I see a mage. Similar to, yep, she's a fire mage. Or no, that was a lava burst. She's an arcane mage. Okay. So we got an arcane mage, some kind of warrior, restoration shaman, and looks like a rogue. Right, there's a lot of talking in here. I forgot how much there was. You can kill those things in the water, but they don't really matter, because as soon as you get out of the water, they're not a problem anymore. Right, platforming section. Does somebody get to this rope before I deploy it? Yes, the shaman does. Okay, it's an orc. Right. I couldn't tell from his portraits, and couldn't tell when he was in Ghost Wolf form. I see that heirloom shield, heirloom shoulders, yeah, so this is obviously somebody who has several characters already here. So let's see, heirloom equipment, my recollection of it is a thing you can earn with like endgame resources, so you know, the idea being that you'd level one character up just with normal dungeon loot and crafted stuff and whatever you can scrounge up. Then when that character is at max level, you have the option of purchasing things that will make it easier for leveling up further characters. They automatically scale with your level and are pretty good, so you always have equipment that's quite solid. Oh no, two people got lost in the platforming. I figured it'd be fine to just move on. They can take their time and get through it whenever they do. So I'm not worried about it yet. If we were to reach a boss, which actually we're about to... Oh wait, no, I remember something funny happens here. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say I would wait for them if we were about to fight a boss. But I think I might end up not waiting. Sorry, I'll resume talking about heirloom gear in a bit. So what is this? Gamura, I think is the name of this turtle. The mage made it. Warrior's still back there, I think, right? I see a mage blob on the mini-map. Right, mage blob is there. Warrior arrow at the edge of the map is still way back there. So we don't have the warrior for this. I'm bothering to kill this little extra turtle that was here, but everybody else seems to be focusing on Gamura, so maybe we should just get the boss down quicker. Alright, so Shell Shocker. I had read about this. It targets a random person in your party, and can be somebody who's not nearby. If you watch, Gamura just flew way off to the warrior's location, the farthest away person there, because he had not managed to join us. He got a turtle shell coming his way from, like, a mile off. So I want to go there and loot that turtle because, you know, it dropped some stuff. If you don't loot it over there, the equipment gets mailed to you, but I think, like, any money that it drops... Who's talking to me? Where'd that voice come from? Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna do that. optional boss here, and since I'm leading the group, I get to choose to engage it, which I do. I do like to do most of the optional stuff. There's one optional boss here that's just a pain to get to, and I didn't quite understand its mechanics fully. So I do skip the deep underwater one, whatever it is. But we do all the other stuff. Anyway, yeah, so... Yep, Volpera are tiny. It's great. I can see everything around me, and it feels like I'm moving faster because my character is smaller and moves at the same speed relative to the world. Playing something like a Tauren is a little uncomfortable. I always feel like I'm moving so slow because I'm so large. You know, it's the same speed, but relative to my character size, it's... What am I doing? Oh, I'm fierce. Okay. I didn't have control over that. I was wondering why I was running so far back. It wasn't me, it was the game doing it. So yeah, when I get separated from a caster like that, if I still have threat on it, it's not necessarily a problem. I don't always need it grouped up with the rest of everything. And I can throw a Judgment or an Avenger's Shield at it on occasion to keep my threats, just so it doesn't go start attacking the healer or something.
No, please! I don't want to die! Who dares interrupt my sacrifice? Slay them!
Man, I can see all these like little, slightly unpolished things about the way that I'm playing now that I've played this character for longer and gotten more comfortable with her. All these just, you know, tiny little things not worth mentioning, but I play just a little bit differently now that I'm farther ahead.
This is complete! Grant me your power, Akamai!
Oh boy, people in here talk a lot. They have a lot to say.
Will be claimed by the old gods.
So anyway, optional boss down, heirlooms. So right, heirloom gear. Maximum level character can help your other characters you want to level get some equipment that scales with their level so they never have to upgrade whatever equipment slot you've put that in. Let's see, there are shoulders, shield, probably a bunch of other equipment slots you can fill with heirlooms. I remember using them at one point. They come with an experience bonus, so that your secondary characters can just level up faster. I've talked about experience bonuses before, and I kind of don't like them because of the way I try to hit up every dungeon while leveling. And the normal experience rate is already too fast for that for me. Nakira, my fire mage, is currently in a situation where there's a dungeon she really wants to do. If she levels up once more, she'll lose access to it. So I may have to disable experience gain for her for a moment until I can get that one dungeon done. It's a really tricky one to do. It's one I'm very excited to show. I have good footage, well, decent sort of footage of it on Farron, my monk, once I get to that. Oh, somebody picked up this extra turtle. Doesn't have a silver nameplate or anything. Son of Gamura. Does he drop anything interesting? No. Just a regular dude. Okay. Somebody really wanted to fight whatever that thing's name was. Pabura? Something. Anyway, yeah, so experience gain is too fast already. I don't want to increase it further. I don't really like the way heirlooms look, although that's what transmogrification is for. You can change that now. I assume you can transmogrify heirlooms. I don't see any reason you wouldn't be able to. Oh yeah, right. Paths get a little twisty here. You know, it's linear, but there are still twists and turns that if I get turned around while I'm gaining threat on something, I can lose track of. Anyway, yeah, so the other thing heirlooms do is they're kind of just better than any other gear you can get at that level. And that's another thing I don't like. I want to have some challenge as I'm going through dungeons. The idea here is not just to get through the experience as quickly as possible with as little hardship as possible. I want a challenge. I want to be challenged in every every dungeon bracket, not just the maximum level one. So even though I have access to some heirlooms, I opt not to use them for this character or anyone that I'm leveling. Just because the effects are not things that I personally desire. If I were playing with different goals and not trying to hit up every dungeon with every character, as I do, I probably would be perfectly happy to use them. Because I have leveled characters with them. I've seen what it's like. But knowing what it's like, I choose not to right now. And yeah, that leads to more exciting situations where I have an actual challenge going through leveling dungeons. Gotta stay on my game. It's good. Decent amount of casters here, so I feel like this is one of the first dungeons where you're going to want to learn to deal with enemies that will not just cooperatively come to your location. You might have to go to them, or find a way to interrupt or silence them, or just deal with things being spread out. Uh-oh, somebody's getting flung around by a tentacle. I wonder if threat matters on those, for those at all, or if they just decide to do whatever they want to do and fling anybody who gets close to them. I suspect that's what it is. Oh right, those aren't Murlocs you actually fight. They go to the boss over here. I'm still trying, though. So yeah, Subjugator Coral, straight ahead if you get there. Is technically optional, is listed down there in the bonus objectives. Huh. Off the top of my head, I don't know what this type of creature is called. It's a type of creature that shows up a lot. Oh yeah, right, the tank spends a lot of this fight just being stunned and unable to do anything. Everybody else gets to do stuff. I just sit there in Leviathan's grip and can't do anything. There it is again. I was out of range of the tentacle smash, so that's nice at least, I guess. Some people got smashed. I was not one of those people. It's fine. I've gotten smashed by those before. It's not a big deal. Just stuns you for a moment. So right, there was some sort of altar at the first optional boss I did. Oh, there it is. I stepped right into that. There was another altar there. This one gives me, what is it, Blessing of Blackfathom, all stats plus something? I think that's what it is. Shaman knows exactly where we're going. He's already up ahead. Weird branching paths here. Nope, it's not that way. Turn right. Yep, that's the way. The map doesn't show that super clearly. It's easy to lose track right in that spot. One thing I'm realizing from learning to navigate all these places again is that I probably don't use the mini-map enough. It gives different information than the big map does. Sometimes one is better than the other, it's not always the same one. In this particular case, the mini-map, well, while it clearly shows me which paths lead somewhere, it's easy to lose track of which one I came from. So we came from the southwest, then went north to Subjugator Coral. So then you gotta go out, take a left, take an immediate right to get to the next... Oh, and that stuff just popped up on it, so you couldn't see where that was going until I got this far. Huh. Anyway, yeah, so I should learn to use my minimap better. Because usually when I get lost and look at it and the big map, at least one of them will tell me where to go. Probably not in a place like Lower Blackrock Spire, though, but I've memorized the route there by now, so I know what to do with that one at least. This is a big place. We've only defeated one of the official bosses so far. Well, non-optional ones. Here's the second one. Guardian of the Deep. Yeah, okay. Thruck was fishing for... Yes, yes, yes. Shut up, Thruck. Thruck was fishing for the Guardian of the Deep there. He's the optional underwater boss that you have to go way out of your way to get to. Some people stood in that. I did not. I know to move when that happens. Anyway, yeah, so Guardian of the Deep swims away and you can go fight it. Yeah, I fought it once and it was weird and uncomfortable, and I didn't want to subject this group to going way out of their way for a boss that I wasn't super sure about. And just reading the group vibe, it seemed more appropriate just to move on. So let's see something weird happen here. Executioner Gore. Okay, so it's like 2 bosses right in a row here. Couple of dudes to fight here at the top of the stairs first. Executioner Gore up here does something weird. Okay, somebody got his attention. I stayed where I was. And he disappears. You couldn't really tell because there's that big cloud of purple there. But he's gone. I was trying to figure out if he was at the middle of it or something. So I figured, did he run off? What's going on? Okay, well let's fight these first and hope he respawns, because that's usually what happens when... One thing I don't like about this game is there are a lot of completely invisible mechanics that can cause a boss to just reset. They'll disappear like that, just kind of fade out, and then come back a moment later. He's back. This game can be very opaque about the exact conditions that cause that to happen. Usually it involves a player being in a certain position that's in some way unreachable by the boss, or sufficiently far away from it, but there are a lot of situations where that distance is very short. Watch this. He's gone. You can't move him that far away. I am learning for the first time here. I think my expert shaman explains it to me. Somebody does. No, somebody else does. Okay, I have to keep him there. He resets. Yep. So he has a tiny little fight zone you can't move him out of. I mean, the reason for that is obvious enough. Whoops, I moved him out of line of sight to the mage. Sorry. Wasn't on purpose. He just kind of decided to move that way, but I could have taken a different action to avoid that. Yeah, so I think you have to fight him there just because of mechanics like this that threaten your available space. But I don't know, stuff like this could be made a lot clearer, I think. You're often just left guessing at what exact conditions will disappear a boss. I don't imagine it would be relevant here, but in some situations I could see that being beneficial if you're like trying to beat a timer when dungeon timers are a thing. Knowing some route that just makes a boss disappear and you can bypass them if they're bypassable. I don't know. But usually you don't really want that. I thought I would be keeping a closer eye on what's going on at the entrance here, because one of the times I was here, a bunch of dudes came out of somewhere I didn't understand. Oh right, there's a thing pulling me in. I'm not doing the best job at managing this caster here. Although to be fair, what could I do? I don't want to get too close to the boss and engage him. But my shield did it! Because Avenger's shield chains to 2 other nearby targets, and he was near enough. Alright, so that Twilight Shadow Mage will just be fought at the same time as the boss. Those 3 over there can just stay over there. If nobody gets close, nobody has a reason to get close. So Piercing Rain I understand. Don't stand in the spikes coming out of the ground. Restorative Waters, though... I think those come to him and heal him? Maybe that was more relevant when there was, whichever expansion it is that has the heroic version of this dungeon. Mr. Pandaria, I think? But at least on normal Restorative Waters, seems like something you can just ignore. He does it, but it doesn't do much. I assume what you want to do, ideally, is to kill those before they get to him so he doesn't heal from them, but the heal's so small I don't even notice it on normal. What weird pacing in here. Like, Gamura comes a fair little distance into the dungeon. Then there's just, like, nothing going on, especially if you were to skip optional bosses for a while. Then the last 4 bosses, you know, bosses 2 through 5, kind of all come in a row. Plus Guardian of the Deep if you go for him. And actually, Subjugator Coral was immediately before, Huh. So yeah, there's like... hallway with, random enemies. Gamura, and then immediately Domina. Then a bunch of little enemies. Then every other boss in the entire dungeon, which is kind of a lot. Weird. Huh. Yeah, that is... paced kind of strangely, with like almost nothing in between those bosses. I don't know if it's necessary to kill those things. I felt like it. So we did. They're stationary, so I assume they couldn't really cause much problem during the boss fight, but I guess they can do the crush move, which has a fair bit of range on it. So it's probably a good idea to kill them. Akumai's gonna summon more during this fight, I think. Okay, he is affected by consecration. Some bosses are immune to it. You put it down and it just does nothing to them. But it can still be beneficial because it affects how my abilities work. So even if I don't get the bonus damage from consecrate, I should read up again on exactly what it does and figure out if there is a benefit to having it up when I'm doing single target attacks on something that's immune to it. Because it seems like it mostly has to do with making Hammer of the Righteous hit multiple targets. But it also does something to... oh, right, I think Paladin Mastery is that... when within Consecration you take less damage or something? Okay, so I probably do always want it up, even if the boss is immune to it. Alright, so that's Blackfathom Deeps. Pretty good run on it. I enjoyed this one a lot. Alright, see you for next time.